Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. In one of my recent videos, I reported to you about the severe floods that we have seen in Germany. And I gave you a first impression, and I waited a couple of days now, and I want to comment a little bit further. More news has come in, and certain suspicions that I had turned out to be correct. And of course, I once again want to make it very clear that this is a horrible event, and people lost loved ones. They lost their life savings, their house. Really tragic. Um, and while I emphasize that, I also want to point out that I grew up with events like this. These things are, well, normal is a bad word in this context, maybe, but they are not uncommon, these events. Of course, it doesn't happen every summer, but yeah, it happens once a year, and of course, not in every place it happens at the same intensity. And you can always find a place where you can say, oh, it is the worst it has ever been here. Yeah, every time it is the worst it has ever been in one place or another. And this brings me already to the first point I want to make, and that is that throughout the last decades, the number of weather stations where data is taken has skyrocketed, really. I mean, it is, first it was hundreds, and now it is over 1,000. So we have many times more weather stations than we used to have. In other words, we are sampling at a denser grid here, and that means, of course, we will have more records, more peak values. Because if you measure at 1,000 places instead of 100 places, yes, guess what? Over time, you will break new records because you're sampling places that you didn't sample before. So I don't even know if this rain was so unprecedented like the media wants you to believe. I really don't think so. And this is just a first point. The most important point to me is actually that there haven't been any evacuations before the event. It's not known to me that anybody really evacuated their village or their city. The mayors and the authorities, they completely failed in this regard. And I waited a couple of days. I didn't want to comment on that right away, but now it turns out that there is a European flood or precipitation research center or something, and they provided data based on yeah, weather data and also some computer models for water flow and precipitation and so on. And they were giving a rough warning 4 days ahead of time. And then they gave a precise warning with the exact locations where it will be dangerous 24 hours before. And the federal government in Germany was informed, or I mean, the ministry of Horst Seehofer, this Heimat ministry, I think it is. He's also minister for the interior. So it is under the supervision of Horst Seehofer, but that ministry or these officers were informed 24 hours before, and they said that they passed on the information. And now I want to stress that this crisis reaction or evacuation and disaster stuff, that is in the um, yeah, responsibility of the federal states. And I think it is good that way. And of course, you might imagine that some people have already said, oh, we need to centralize that. It needs to be on the national scale and it has to be taken away from the states. I don't really know. I mean, a federal office can also be asleep just as well as a state office can be asleep or ineffective. I mean, they just have to do a better job. It's not the main point who does it. But of course, you see that the reflexes are working very well. There is this group of people lobbyists who want more centralization. So what do? Whenever something happens that makes the states look bad, they say, "Ah, we need more centralization." Yeah? And then they discuss a lot about should we have sirens or should we use cell phones and write short messages automatically to people to warn them, or should we warn them via the internet, or should it be like an old school analog siren or something? Yeah, that is not really the key, I think. I think people were notified in some cases, I read, but they didn't really know how to interpret that warning. Is it really serious? Is it dangerous? Or is it just a formal warning? Or what I want to say really is, and I learned that in Japan, I witnessed and experienced that in Japan, you have to do disaster drills. Without disaster drills, a warning system is worthless. Because if the people on the ground at the community level don't know how to react, and the mayors and the people are untrained, then even this warning doesn't really help. And in this case, the warning didn't even make it in some cases to the community because the states really messed up here. So the question is now, a lot of people say now, hey, did you mess up on purpose just so that you get these horrible pictures for your end of days cult, your climate ideology? Did you want to have a couple of victims so that you can have more um, uh, ammunition for your fight in on this climate front, like banning internal combustion engines and coal power, for example. Some people are claiming that. I'm not claiming that. That's a bold claim. But let's just say there are some people in power um, where I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did do something like that. But of course, this is purely speculative. This is speculation. Yeah? We don't know, of course. But these questions have to be asked. And if there are some indications that this mess up cannot be explained by incompetence anymore, but that there was some foul play at hand, that they didn't warn people on purpose, yeah, that would be something entirely different, I would say. And what is also being politicized, and this is the last point. So today is a little bit of potpourri of different points about the floods. I mean, yeah, the last point is the help, yeah, the help that people receive. So either you can donate money, but they need water, of course, and they need stuff, and you can just personally go there and help them, of course. And there are organizations that are doing that, like the army, like the THW, that is yeah, something between the army and firefighters. It is kind of a civilian pioneer corps, I would say. They have heavy machinery and they have the knowledge and the skills and the machines to help people with pumps and with heavy trucks and stuff like that. But the army helps too. And there are also private citizens who go there and help. But now the media and our political class, they are hyperventilating. They are in full crisis mode because not only people who are left-wing progressives came to help, conservatives also came to help, and nationalists also came to help. And these evil people are, of course, politicizing the event. When Angela Merkel and Laschet and Baerbock and Seehofer and all these people, when they went to these disaster areas and took pictures with the helpers. Oh, they were not politicizing the event at all. And when the entire Green Party and the SPD and the CDU, when they're talking about their climate legislation that need to be fast-tracked now because obviously when rain falls, that is climate change. Yeah, they're not politicizing anything here. No, 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 no. It's these nationalists. They want to make themselves look like the helpers, but in fact, they are spreading misinformation and they're just using that for their evil purposes. I mean, if anybody still follows this narrative and reads an article like that and literally believes, oh yeah, our politicians are doing a good job, and these right wingers, they're just using the situation. And I'm sure many Germans believe that when they approve of these messages. They are following the narrative. But just ask yourselves, like, how brainwashed do you need to be that you see that of course all of these politicians are politicizing the event. They are using that as however it fits into their narrative or their agenda that they want to push. And as I said, I mean, climate change stuff, they want higher taxes, they want to ban personal mobility, they want to take people's property away, people's freedom away, and also they want to push for more centralization, and this fits. And so that's what they say when they step in front of the microphones. But when a nationalist hands out bottles of water to people in an area where the water pipes burst or are destroyed, and then they are politicizing that. They want to make themselves seen as good guys. Yeah, so this is so far from my side a little heads up, a little report about what is going on. Of course, it is not a complete report, but these were some points that I found interesting. And if you want to, you can stay with me for a couple minutes more, where I take you around this very beautiful monastery church at 14 Heiligen. And look at this. Leid führt durch Hoffnung zum Frieden. Ja? Suffering leads through hope to peace. Yeah? In memoriam of our fallen from 2 world wars. Pretty nice. I wonder how long it will still be there. Anyway, I'm going around the church now, and you can join me. A lot of people are going up there, actually. That's a brewery with a guest house, or with a restaurant, I would say. So it's not uncommon that monasteries have their own breweries. Whoops, cobblestone. And this is actually a rather popular beer brand in the area, I think I heard. 14 Heiligen Nothelfer Trunk. I heard about that. I think the brewery is called Trunk. It's a good beer. All right. Yeah, the weather is getting a little worse. It was very, very sunny earlier. Now the wind is blowing stronger and the clouds are getting darker. Maybe a thunderstorm is coming. So that is a very impressive Bavarian church. And here you have, of course, a nice view of the area. Nice landscape also. It's on a hill, on an elevated site at least, I would say. Maybe I wouldn't call it a hill. All right. And now let's go down a bit for a front view of the portal. And of course you have here several flags. You have the European flag, the German flag, the Bavarian flag, and then twice you have the flag of the Vatican State or the Pope himself. I think it's Vatican State, yeah, with the keys and the mitre, this bishop's hat. Oh, I need to cross the street now. All right. And then you have local flags That is, what is that? The district and the town or something? Probably. I can't really. Well, in this wind, I can't really. Alright, there you have it. Can even zoom out a little more. 14 Heiligen. Alright, so maybe I get a beer and then I will travel on. I'm on a little tour right now. Let's see where the road will take me. Servus, Kameraden.